Damian Priest comes out for the face-to-face segment with Gunther, and Gunther explains that Priest is living out his childhood dream as a champion. But he observes that Priest is not living up to it. Your reign has been nothing. No prestige, no contributions. You and I are not cut from the same cloth. So I want to lift that weight off your shoulders and save you the embarrassment. So why don't you just hand me the title now rather than us do this at SummerSlam? And Priest does not go for this option. He explains that while you were handed everything in Europe, I was literally fighting for my life. And if you're just here for the paycheck, we don't need you here. I've earned this, and you are the last person that will take this belt from me. Gunther says, I won't question your street credibility, but let's be honest. Being on the street is a choice.
Oh, man.
It's not my fault that your parents thought that their offspring wasn't worth a good life.
Oh, my God.
My parents provided me with everything because I had the qualities that were recognized, and WWE begged me to sign here. And he says it is my responsibility to restore the honor and prestige of this sport and the world title. All these people are just like you, Priest. Street trash. Priest says that, Gunther, you have no heart. You don't know what it's like to fight for everything. I'm going to stay champion, and you're going to have to fight from the bottom with nothing left after I beat you. And you're going to be nothing more than a boring, conceited, privileged scumbag. And with that, they go nose to nose before Braun Strowman comes out.
I thought this was a great segment. I thought it was a money segment. I don't know what the reception is to this. I could see people thinking this might be like a bit too much of a character change for some of them and maybe too on the nose, but I thought it was a great pivot of both of these characters. Like when they announced Gunther versus Priest, I wasn't exactly sure what direction they could have taken it. It could have been a very simple, like, you're the champion, I'm the challenger, like, I'm going to bring prestige to the belt. They are doing that, like, that's sort of like Gunther's just like main sort of character period, but they're adding a whole lot here, okay? They are reframing this into a match of the privileged and the everyman here. And I think it's very smart, and I think it's effective, and I thought it took some like pretty good dialogue and delivery to achieve that effect from the both of them. They are reframing Gunther now as a guy who was handed everything in his life, okay? Which works with like this image we have now of WWE Gunther as this like well-dressed, like European GQ, like almost like statuesque model who like looks rich, right? Meanwhile, we have like they're reframing Damian Priest as a man who had nothing, who was homeless. Like that's legitimate. And that's like almost the most sympathetic trait you can find out of his real life story that I'm almost surprised they didn't use earlier. But they're using it now.
The timing of this is unfortunate because they've been promoting that documentary they're putting out on Priest later in August. And I think if you had that backdrop, I think this lands a bit more with people because they are going to go into more of that whole upbringing and his background in that documentary from the trailer that they ran. But also the fact that Gunther going even a step further to state it was not just were you homeless, but your parents, they had the means, but they figured it wasn't a worthy investment in you as a child.
Yeah. Wow. Just unbelievable, like heel, like words, right? Like it's almost unfathomable how any human being in real life might be able to think something like that. But like these at this point are like very simple and effective archetypes, and this now is a feud that isn't just about a championship; it's about the
socioeconomic status.
Well, it's about the haves and the have-nots. It's about the rich versus the poor, and everybody can get
the poor
involved.
who just signed with the Paradigm Talent Agency last week. But
listen,
besides that,
he worked for what he got. Okay, this is a success story. Okay, this is an all-American story. Whereas Gunther, come on, like everybody in Europe, you know, like what free healthcare, free university, but it was taking
in those WXW checks, cashing them in.
Yeah, exactly. It deduces this feud into something that I think is relatable for most people watching this, and therefore I really like it.
I thought in particular Gunther was excellent here. I think this whole buildup, he's been tremendous. Like he has been a revelation when it comes to his promos that have stood out to me more than like we know what you get with him bell to bell, but he has just he continues to grow into this just benevolent heel authority on this show that I just think he's such a unique presence on either show for the company at the moment.
So let me ask you, John, because like this almost felt like it was so like it babyface Priest so much that I think he has to win at SummerSlam. Do you feel that way, or do you think Gunther can still get away with a win here and Priest still somehow survive that?
I never looked at this as some rubber stamp that Gunther is getting the title. I think they're very serious about Damian Priest. And I think that was very evident when they had him beat Drew in Scotland. I think that they're really going with Damian Priest and the idea of him being put into all these situations where everyone's assuming he's losing the title and he doesn't. That's kind of becoming part of the story now with Damian Priest. So regardless of this build, I think there's still a very good chance Damian Priest, they stick with him with the championship. And the idea that after this road of challengers and the depth on this Raw roster and Damian Priest is the guy still standing, they want this guy to be viewed at that level. And it's been a slow climb for Priest. But
what would you do at Bash at Berlin then?
I think you could come back. You could certainly come back with a rematch, because I think that's a more... you could have Gunther win and defend it in Germany, or you could just come back like 3-4 weeks later and Gunther gets a rematch with Priest. That's a potential. Like, I could certainly see delaying it, the title switch to there.
I like that idea. I like like them having two matches. The first one at SummerSlam, Priest wins, and then Berlin, Gunther wins. Like, and therefore, I think Priest can always hold on to the fact that he beat Gunther, and Gunther still gets.
And you have the backstory too that Damian had to go into enemy territory against Drew McIntyre. Now he's got to do it against Gunther in Germany.
Right, with all his privileged country folk.
That's it.